Hey everyone, welcome back to the show.
Hello, hello. We are so happy you're here today.
Alice, have you ever watched a baseball game?
A few times. I mostly remember the shouting. A lot of shouting at the umpires.
That's a classic part of the game. But what if the umpires were robots?
Robots? Like actual robots? That sounds like science fiction.
Well, it's becoming a reality. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic, invasion of the robot umpires. We'll explore how technology is changing sports and what that means for the human element.
So less shouting, more perfect calls?
That's one side of the story. But as always, we're not just here for the content. We're here to sharpen your IELTS reading skills. We'll show you how to tackle complex texts and tricky questions with confidence.
And don't worry if you're not a baseball fan. This isn't about sports rules. It's about big ideas, technology, human judgment, and what makes things exciting. You can totally follow along, even if you're just half listening while doing something else.
Here is what we will do today. In Part 1, we read the passage together about robot umpires. In Part 2, we learn the 8 essential reading skills. In Part 3, we do a quick review. And in Part 4, we practice together with some real questions.
Robot umpires, 8 skills, and a lot of interesting ideas. This is going to be a good episode.
Let's start. Okay, welcome to Part 1. This is the reading passage. The title is Invasion of the Robot Umpires.
Get ready to hear about a big change in baseball.
I will read each paragraph slowly. After each paragraph, Alice will explain the main idea in simple English, B1 or B2 level. Then we move on.
Think of it like a story. Just listen for the main points.
A few years ago, Fred DeJesus became the first umpire in a minor league baseball game to use something called the automated ball strike system, often referred to as the Robo Umpire. Instead of making any judgments himself about a strike, DeJesus had decisions fed to him through an earpiece. Major League Baseball, MLB, wanted human umpires to announce the calls just as they would have done in the past. When the first pitch came in, a recorded voice told DeJesus it was a strike. Previously, calling a strike was a judgment call on the part of the umpire. Even if the batter does not hit the ball, a pitch that passes through the strike zone is considered a strike. During that first game, when DeJesus announced calls, there was no heckling and no shouted disagreement. Nobody said a word.
Okay, so in simple words, this paragraph introduces us to the robot umpire, or ABS. A human umpire, Fred DeJesus, wore an earpiece and a computer told him if it was a strike or not. The big baseball league, MLB, wanted the human umpire to still say the decision out loud. Before this, umpires had to decide themselves if a ball was a strike. A strike means the batter didn't hit the ball, but it went through a special area called the strike zone. And the interesting thing, in that first game with the robot umpire, no one argued or shouted. It was totally quiet.
Two important terms here. First, automated ball strike system, or ABS. This is the robot umpire system. Second, a strike. In baseball, a strike is when the pitcher throws the ball and the batter either misses it or doesn't swing at a ball that should have been hit. 3 strikes and you're out.
Say it with me. Robot umpire.
For 150 years, arguments between a team's manager and the umpire have taken place over the strike zone. When the robo-umpires came, however, the arguments stopped. During the first robo-umpire season, players complained about some strange calls. In response, MLB decided to tweak the dimensions of the zone, and the following year, the consensus was that ABS is profoundly consistent. MLB says the device is near perfect, precise to within fractions of an inch. Rob Manfred, commissioner for MLB, says it'll reduce controversy in the game and be good for the game.
The word controversy means a lot of public disagreement or argument. So Commissioner Manfred believes the robot umpires will reduce arguments. So, quick recap. Paragraph A introduces the robot umpire and how it works, and how quiet the first game was. Paragraph B just told us that these robots are super accurate and they stopped all the arguments. Sounds good, right? But maybe too good?
But the question is whether controversy is worth reducing or whether it is the sign of a human hand. A human at least yells back. When I spoke with Frank Viola, a coach, he said that ABS works as designed, but that it was also unforgiving and pedantic, almost legalistic. Viola was once a major league player himself. When he was pitching, he explained, umpires rewarded skill. Throw it where you aimed, and it would be a strike, even if it was an inch or two outside. There was a dialogue between pitcher and umpire.
Here, the passage changes direction. It asks if stopping arguments is always a good thing. Maybe arguments are part of what makes the game human. A coach named Frank Viola says the robot umpire is very strict and doesn't forgive small mistakes. He remembers that human umpires used to let skilled pitchers have a little bit of freedom, even if the ball wasn't exactly perfect. It was like a conversation between the player and the umpire.
Unforgiving means very strict, not allowing any mistakes, and pedantic means too focused on small rules, sometimes in an annoying way.
Quick question for you. Does this paragraph think robot umpires are definitely better than human umpires? Just a quick thought. The answer is no. It's raising questions about whether human judgment and even arguments are important parts of the game. If you got that right, nice one.
The executive tasked with running the experiment for MLB is Morgan Sword. According to Sword, ABS was part of a larger project to make baseball more exciting, since executives are terrified of losing younger fans. He explains how they began by asking fans what version of baseball they found most exciting. The results showed that everyone wanted more action, more hits, more defense, more base running. This type of baseball essentially hasn't existed since the 1960s, when the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, which is difficult to hit and control, entered the game. It flattened the game into strikeouts, walks, and home runs, a type of play lacking much action.
This paragraph tells us why MLB wants robot umpires. A person named Morgan Sword says it's to make baseball more exciting for young people because they are worried about losing young fans. Fans want more action in the game. He says that since the 1960s, fast pitches made the game less exciting, with too many strikeouts and not enough action. So, the robot umpires are a way to bring back more exciting baseball.
Flattened the game here means it made the game less interesting, less dynamic, or less exciting. It made it flat. Okay, that is the full passage, 4 paragraphs. Let's quickly remember the structure in case your mind wandered anywhere along the way.
Paragraph A introduces the robot umpire and its quiet first game. Paragraph B says robots are very accurate and stop arguments. Paragraph C questions if stopping arguments is good and mentions a coach who misses human judgment. Paragraph D tells us the reason for robots, to make baseball more exciting for young fans.
So, that was our reading passage. How did you feel? Did you catch most of it?
If you didn't catch everything, that is completely normal, especially if you were half listening while doing something else. The goal was never to understand every single word. The goal was just to get the general shape of each paragraph.
Introduction, accuracy, doubts, and reason. If you remember those 4 ideas, you have already done something very useful.
And now, we are going to learn the 8 skills that help you read any passage like this faster and more confidently. Let's go to part 2.
Welcome to part 2. This is the main part of today's episode, the 8 reading skills.
8 skills you can use in your next IELTS exam or even in everyday English reading. Are you ready?
Let's begin with skill 1.
Okay, skill number 1, David?
Skill number 1, skim the whole passage first before you read carefully.
Skim? You mean read it fast?
Yes, very fast. Don't stop for difficult words. Just get the general idea of each paragraph.
So for our robot umpire passage, what's the general idea?
Paragraph A introduces the robot umpire. Paragraph B talks about its accuracy. Paragraph C discusses the doubts about it. And paragraph D explains the reason for its use.
Oh, so it's basically intro, accuracy, doubts, reason. That's the same shape we just reviewed a moment ago.
Exactly. And once you know that shape, finding answers becomes much faster.
Why does that help so much?
Because if a question asks about the reason for robot umpires, you already know. That's probably in paragraph D. You don't need to search the whole text.
That makes a lot of sense. I always used to read the whole thing first. No more.
Here is a tip. When you skim, only read the first sentence of each paragraph. That sentence usually tells you what the paragraph is about.
Say this with me. Skim first.
Skill number 2. Always read the questions first before you scan for answers.
Wait, isn't that obvious?
You'd think so, but many students start reading the passage in detail before they even know what they're looking for.
So they waste time reading things they don't need.
Exactly. If the question asks about younger fans, you already know which words to look for.
So the question guides the reading, not the other way around.
Perfectly said. The question is your map. Read the map before you start walking.
The question is your map. Say it with me. The question is your map. Okay, skill 3?
Scan for keywords. Don't read every word. Let your eyes jump to the important ones.
What counts as a keyword?
Names, numbers, dates, and unusual words. For example, in our passage, Fred DeJesus, MLB, Morgan Sword, 1960s.
So if a question asks about a person's name, I just scan for capital letters?
Exactly. Your eyes move down the page quickly, like a camera, looking for the important things.
Like a camera. My eyes are a camera. I love that.
Numbers and dates are always easy to spot. If a question mentions 1960s, your eyes will find it very quickly.
All right, quick pit stop. So far, we've got skim first, questions are your map, and now eyes like a camera for keywords. 3 down, 5 to go.
You know, talking about baseball, did you know that the actual size of a baseball has been pretty much the same since 1872? It's always between 9 and 9.25 inches around. Funny how some things stay the same, while others, like umpires, change so much.
That's a cool fact. Okay, back to skills.
Skill 4 is a really useful one. Watch for paraphrasing.
What do you mean by paraphrasing?
The question will almost never use the exact same words as the passage. It will use synonyms instead.
Can you give me an example from our robot umpire passage?
Sure, the passage says, executives are terrified of losing younger fans. A question might say, to ensure baseball retained a young audience.
Oh, terrified of losing becomes retained, and younger fans becomes young audience.
Exactly. Same meaning, different words.
That sounds hard.
It gets easier with practice, honestly. The skill is simply, don't look for the same words, look for the same meaning.
Say that again, David. I want to remember it.
Don't look for the same words, look for the same meaning.
Don't look for the same words, look for the same meaning. Say it with me.
Skill 5, find the topic sentence. Usually, the first sentence of a paragraph tells you what the whole paragraph is about.
So in paragraph C, the first sentence says, but the question is whether controversy is worth reducing.
Right, so immediately you know this paragraph is about questioning the benefits of stopping arguments.
So I don't need to read the whole paragraph carefully unless the question is about the downsides or human element.
Exactly right. The topic sentence is like a sign on a door. It tells you what is inside before you open the door.
Let's practice. Listen to this first sentence. What is the paragraph about?
The executive tasked with running the experiment for MLB is Morgan Sword.
The paragraph is about Morgan Sword and what he does. That's paragraph D. Did you get it right?
Skill 6 is the one that trips learners up the most, but it's really just a small logic puzzle. True, false, not given questions.
Oh no, I always get confused with not given. It's so tricky.
Everyone does it first. Here is the key difference.
True means the passage says the same thing as the statement. False means the passage says the opposite. Not given means the passage simply does not mention it at all.
So not given does not mean false. It just means the passage is silent, no information.
Exactly. The passage is silent. Say it with me. The passage is silent. And here's a little trick this question type likes to play. Sometimes the statement says all or always, but the passage only talks about some. That's usually a false. The statement went too far.
Ooh, so watch out for words like all, every, always, never. Good tip.
Okay, let me test you. Here is a statement from our passage. The Automated Ball Strike System, ABS, was originally developed for tracking missiles.
The passage says it was connected to a modified missile tracking system. So the system itself has missile tracking technology as its base. I'd say that means it was originally developed for that. So, true?
Correct. Now try this one. All baseball fans believe that robot umpires are a terrible idea.
The passage mentions Alvin Noe thinks it's a terrible idea, but it doesn't say all fans. That word all is a big red flag.
So the answer is
False, because it says all, but the passage only talks about some opinions.
perfect. You just used skill 6 correctly.
Skill 7?
Manage your time. If one question is taking too long, skip it and come back later.
But isn't it bad to leave a question unanswered?
It's worse to spend 5 minutes on one hard question and lose time for 5 easy ones.
Oh, so one hard question can cost you many easy points.
Exactly. Always guess something, mark it, and move on. You can come back at the end if you have time.
A good rule of thumb, roughly 1.5 minutes per question. If you're still stuck after that, move on and come back later.
And our last skill, skill 8, guess unknown words from context. You will never know every word, and that is completely normal.
Oh, that is so good to hear.
For example, imagine you don't know the word pedantic in our passage, but the sentence talks about the robot umpire being unforgiving and almost legalistic. It's talking about being very strict with rules.
So I can guess pedantic must be something about being too focused on small rules. I don't need the exact definition. I just need enough to understand the coach's point.
Exactly. Context is the words around the unknown word. Use those words as clues.
Say this with me. Use context clues.
And that is skill 8, and all 8 skills done.
Wow, 8 skills. That was a lot, but I feel much more confident now.
You should. These are real, practical skills that every good IELTS reader uses.
And the important thing is, these skills work together. Skim, read the questions, scan for keywords, paraphrasing, topic sentence, true, false, not given, time management, context clues. They are a team.
All 8 working together. Let's go review them quickly. Welcome to part 3. Quick review. No pressure, just a fun recap. I'm going to quiz you, Alice. What's skill 1?
Skill 1? That's an easy one. Skim first for the general idea.
Nice. Okay, what about the one about reading questions?
Oh, that's skill 2. Read the questions before you scan. You need your map.
Good memory. And what about those tricky true, false, not given questions? What's the key thing to remember there?
Ah, that's skill 6. The passage is silent. That's how you know it's not given.
Excellent. You got the main points. Let's quickly list the rest.
Okay, so we also have scan for keywords, watch for paraphrasing, find the topic sentence, manage your time, and guess unknown words from context. 8 skills. I got them all.
Now, if you feel like it, try saying all 8 out loud yourself. No pressure. Even remembering 4 or 5 is great.
However you did, that is genuine progress.
8 skills reviewed, quickly and clearly. Remember, you don't need to memorize the names. You need to do them. Skills are actions, not words. Now, the most important part, putting the skills into action. Let's go to part 4. Welcome to part 4, practice time. We are going to use our passage about robot umpires. Remember, the one about the intro, the accuracy, the doubts, and the reasons. And I will ask you some real exam-style questions.
Try to answer before we give you the answer if you can. Say it out loud if you like. No pressure though, just listening carefully works too.
After each question, we pause. Then we go back to the passage, look at the exact line, and explain the answer. First, a true, false, not given question. Statement 1. When DeJesus first used ABS, he shared decision-making about strikes with it.
Let's look back at paragraph A. The passage said, instead of making any judgments himself about a strike, DeJesus had decisions fed to him through an earpiece. This means he did not share the decision-making. The robot made the calls. So the statement contradicts the passage. The answer is false.
Another true-false not given question. Statement 2. MLB is keen to justify the money spent on improving the accuracy of ABS's calculations.
Let's go back to the passage. Paragraph B mentions that MLB says the device is near perfect, precise to within fractions of an inch. It also says it will reduce controversy. But the passage never talks about MLB trying to justify the money spent on it. This information is simply not there. So the answer is not given.
Okay, let's try a different type of question now. This time, complete the summary. The umpire's job had, at one time, required a blank about whether a ball was a strike. Which phrase best fits the blank? A. Pitch boundary. B. Numerous disputes. C. Team tactics. D. Subjective assessment.
Let's go back to paragraph A. The passage says, previously, calling a strike was a judgment call on the part of the umpire. A judgment call means the umpire had to decide based on their own opinion. Looking at our options, subjective assessment means a decision based on personal opinion, not hard facts. This is exactly what a judgment call is. So the answer is D, subjective assessment. Another summary completion blank. One difference, however, is that during the first game, DeJesus used ABS, strike calls were met with blank. A. Pitch boundary. B. Numerous disputes. C. Team tactics. D. Subjective assessment. E. Widespread approval. F. Former roles. G. Total silence. H. Perceived area.
Again, in paragraph A, the passage clearly states, during that first game, when DeJesus announced calls, there was no heckling and no shouted disagreement. Nobody said a word. The phrase, nobody said a word, directly tells us what happened. From the options, total silence matches this perfectly. So the answer is G, total silence. Now for a multiple choice question. Morgan Sword says that the introduction of ABS, A, was regarded as an experiment without a guaranteed outcome, B, was intended to keep up with developments in other sports, C, was a response to changing attitudes about the role of sport, D, was an attempt to ensure baseball retained a young audience.
For this, we need paragraph D. The passage says, Morgan Sword explained that ABS was part of a larger project to make baseball more exciting since executives are terrified of losing younger fans. Option D was an attempt to ensure baseball retained a young audience is a direct paraphrase of this idea. Terrified of losing younger fans means they want to retain a young audience. So the answer is D. I got most of those right just by listening and remembering the structure.
That is the skill working already. And notice, for each one, we didn't just spot the trap, we went back to the exact line that proves the answer. That's the habit worth building.
It actually feels manageable now. When I know the skills, the questions are not so scary.
That is exactly the goal. You don't need to understand every word. You need the right strategy and the habit of checking back against the text.
And now you have 8 strategies. You are ready.
So that is it for today. 8 reading skills and 1 fascinating passage about robot umpires.
Let's say all 8 one more time, fast. Skim, questions first, keywords, paraphrasing, topic sentence, true false not given, time management, context clues.
8 skills. Beautiful.
Before we go, say this with me. I have the right strategy.
I have the right strategy.
I have the right strategy.
Say it one more time, if you like, because it's true.
Oh, before we go, one last fun fact about baseball. Did you know the longest baseball game in history lasted 8 hours and 6 minutes? It went for 25 innings. Imagine watching that.
That's a lot of baseball.
Right? Okay, that's it for today. Bye, everyone.
Until next time, keep reading, keep practicing, and trust the process. Bye-bye.